Hey there, CJ Math students, and since I was out today, I figured I'd help you out with a couple problems on homework 7.5 so you know exactly what the work should look like. So for number one, it says, what is the area of a circle with a radius of 6 centimeters? So it's area, and you know the radius. So you're going to start off by writing the area formula, A equals pi r squared, and you're just going to plug in. Area is equal to 3.14 times 6 squared, right? So area is equal to 3.14 times 36. Now, of course, you're allowed to use a calculator to figure out what 3.14 times 36 is, but you should be making sure that you show all this work. So it's 113.04 centimeters squared. So obviously C there is your answer. I should not see any one of these problems with just an answered circled in. Obviously, I would not accept it. Number 3 is basically exactly like number 1. If you take a look at it, they tell you what the radius is and they tell you to find the area. So maybe you want to do that now. Number 2 is a little bit different. They want you to find the area, but they give you the diameter. So if the diameter is 14, remember for area, we don't want diameter squared, we want radius squared. So if you can envision the diameter being 14 units across, what's half of that? That'd be 7, right? 7 and 7. So it's the radius here is going to be, sorry, I meant to say radius, not is equal to 7. So area is equal to 3.14 times, plug in 7 squared. And again, area is equal to 3.14 times 49. That's what 7 times 7 is. And then you get your answer of area is equal to 153.86. So again, C. But again, notice all the work that I've shown. I've shown all the steps. And inches squared, and really shown that I truly understand what the question's asking, right? Number 4 is exactly like number 2, right? They're giving you a diameter, but again, they're asking for area, so you don't need a diameter, remember, for area equals pi r squared, right? You need a radius, so you want half of that, right? So that would be 3. 3 would be what you're plugging in. Number 5 is interesting because it says find the area of the following circle, but they don't give you any measurements. They give you these little squares, though. So if you can take this as the center of the circle, just ask yourself, okay, how many square units are there within up until the center, right? Because that would be my radius. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 4, sorry, yeah, it is 4 units right to the center, okay? So your radius here is 4, because all the way across, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that would be your diameter, so obviously your radius is 4. So area is equal to pi r squared. You know the radius now, so obviously I'll leave you that to solve. Number 6 is very simple. Again, you're going to want to show all your work. Again, they're saying area, so immediately write down the area formula. You're obviously going to identify that it's 0.5 is your radius, so that's what you're plugging in. Here, sorry, your radius was 4, so that's what you're plugging in. Here, obviously, your radius is 3, so that's what you're plugging in. But again, I can leave you to do those 3 on your own, showing all work and trying to solve the problem. Number 7, again, has to do with area. Number 8 is not much different from number 4. In that, you know, if the diameter is 2, that means the radius are 1 and 1. So the radius here is 1. Something 1 squared, by the way, is not 2. Area is equal to pi r squared. Area is equal to 3.14 times 1 squared. That's just 1 times 1, right? So area is equal to 3.14 times 1, right? 1 times 1 is equal to 1. So your answer is B there. Area is equal to 3.14. Millimeters squared, right? Now, number 9 is a tricky one. It says, what radius length would make a circle with an area of 78.5? So notice you're working backwards. You know your area is 78.5. So you're going to say area is equal to pi r squared, but you know your area and you know pi. You don't know your radius. So 78.5 is equal to 3.14 r squared. Start this off by dividing both sides by 3.14. And then when you do 78.5 divided by 3.14, you get 25. Now that's not your answer because that's what r squared is. So you need to go ahead and take the square root. What number times itself gives you 25? That will be your radius, and obviously the number times itself that gives you 25 is 5. So B is your answer on that one. Number 10 looks a lot like number 5, except they tell you how many, where the middle is this time, unlike us having to count across. So obviously if you count 1, 2, 3 squares, so that represents your radius there, and then you can obviously solve the rest, right? If you go to the back side, number 11, very straightforward, just make sure you show your work. Number 12, very straightforward, except again they're giving you diameter, so you're going to want to make sure that you recognize that, hey, if this is 12, that means my radius is actually 6, and the radius is what I want when I'm looking at area, right? Number 13, they're actually asking you for circumference. So remember, that's a different formula. C equals pi d, and d is not your radius, right? D is your diameter. So if that's 4, so is that, then your diameter is 8. So C is equal to 3.14 times 8, and I will let you do that calculation and solve that out. Number 14 should be simple because, again, they're asking for circumference, and again, this time, luckily, they actually give you your diameter, right? Your diameter is equal to 12 in this one. Your diameter was equal to 8 in that one. And then in number 15, it says if the circumference of the tire rim is 50.24 inches, what must be the diameter of the rim? So again, if you're saying, hey, C equals pi d, they're talking about the circumference, and you know what the circumference is, so that means you know 50.24 is equal to C. You know 3.14 is equal to pi. You don't know your diameter. You're just solving a simple one-step equation. So dividing by 3.14 on both sides. And your diameter is equal to whatever 50.24 divided by 3.14 is, and that happens to be 16. Now, say they took this a little bit further and said, what was your radius, right? You just then take half of 16, right? And number 16, again, they're asking you to find the circumference, but this time they only give you the radius, so you figure that out. All right, that's it. Call me if you have questions. Have a good night.